Draft night is nearly upon us for the Collingwood Football Club. And just bear in mind, we'll be featuring heavily in night 2, not so much tomorrow being night 1, having Collingwood starting so late in the draft order. Don't worry too much about what will transpire in night 1. But what I want to do is paint the picture as to where we stand with our list management and try and make sense of how Collingwood may approach the draft window over the coming days. So, what we'll do here is we will share the screen. And as always, full credit goes to Pommy and Oz for this amazing off-season mega book. I'll share the link for the mega book for you to have a look at your own leisure. And I'll also share Pommy and Oz's YouTube channel, The Great Man. What we need to know right now, okay? Collingwood currently have 39 on their total list, but we need to factor in that Ash Johnson and Markov will be re-rookied, and that will take us to our maximum capacity on the rookie list, or will take us closer to maximum capacity, my apologies, right? So that will get us to 41, leaving 3 spots available on our senior list and our entire list entirety, right? We need to get to 36. We're currently at 33, right? So you say, okay, well, if we have 39 or 41 on the list once we include Markov and Johnson, why do we have 4 picks? Because that would effectively take us to 45 players if we were to draft every single draft using every single one of those picks. You're right. 45 is not going to fit into 44. So what has happened is Johnson and Markov have been delisted for one of a couple reasons. And one of those reasons is we're making more room on draft night to use picks to potentially bundle up a couple of picks to get one player in return. So while you go into the draft night with 4 picks, it doesn't necessarily mean you're going to walk out with 4 players. That's really important to understand. We're just trying to take a bigger arsenal into the draft so we can try our hand and see if a player we want gets picked earlier than we had hoped, and then maybe we can package some picks in a live swap to make that happen. I believe you have 5 minutes to negotiate in that situation with the team that has selected your desired player, right? So essentially, how many players are Collingwood going to take out of this draft? It could be anywhere between 1 and 3. It really could. If I had to guess, I'd say 2, which would take us to 43 on our entire list and 35 on our senior list, which means to fulfill that final senior spot, we might elevate someone from the rookie list and then grab someone from the rookie draft to fulfill that final spot on our entire list. It can be quite difficult to understand. I get that. So if you want to extend the conversation in the comment section, let me know. But that's the nuts and bolts of it, okay? But just to summarize that, we delisted Ash Johnson and Markov for part of the reason that we want to be able to take more picks into the draft because and to do that, we need more list space, hence those initial delistings. We are also probably not going to use all 4 of those picks. We're probably going to look to try and bundle those picks to get one player in return for a couple of picks if we need to try and do a pick swap in a live window. Worst case scenario, we either take 3 players that are best available or we take 2 players and maybe burn pick 66 if we can't bundle that in a pick swap to get a player that we want that is a bit higher up in the draft. It's also important to note that while these picks are what they are right now, once bids are matched, like Ashcroft and Marshall and Keiko and a couple others, I think we've got 4 players where bids will be matched for multiple picks. So there's roughly 10 picks that will be swapped in exchange for 4 players. So those 4 players will eat up 4 of those picks, and every other club's picks will slide up 6 slots. So 52 will turn into 46, 55 will be 49, this will be 60 will be 54, and this will be 60. Something along the lines of that. So that's also a really important concept to understand going into draft night. Now, who could we draft on the night? There's a large pool of options and great depth in this draft, as we already know. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this Herald Sun article of picks 40 to 60. I've done a whole bunch of content on what also exists, and I dive into that a bit deeper along with Dylan Alexander. We've spoken to him at length. I've done a few video analysis of other players as well. So just scour through the archives and you'll gather more information. But let's just go 40 to 60. So you got Archer Day Wicks, Cal Guerin, Adrian Cole would have been nice, but he's linked to the St Kilda Academy. Tom Sims is an interesting one at 43. That gets us quite close. That's a situation where if he goes at 43 and we have pick 45, I'm wondering if we can bundle up a couple of those picks to slide up to snag Thomas Sims. Charlie Nichols we've spoken about as well, another similar case. Floyd Burmeister, who's been spoken about, another tall key prospect there. So there's 3 there. You might wonder what type of players are we going to get. I'd say if we can walk away with at least 1 key tall and maybe another mid/forward, Collingwood tend to lean towards those sort of options when it comes to the mid forwards. I think that would be a good return in the draft, and then fill out the rest of our list with rookies in the postseason draft, mid-season draft, or preseason supplementary period. Salzburger, Ivicic, who Dylan mentioned as well, is a nice mid forward. Joel Cochran, Josh Dolan, another player that Dylan mentioned. Clancy Dennis, a player from Waffle, key size 195. The Waffle can be interesting sometimes, so probably steer away from that. Camporelli going to Carlton, Jasper Algar, Bailey McKenzie, Riley Bice. Geez, that's a tongue twister. Should be like Bailey Rice or something, no? Malachi Champion, Tyler Welsh is an Adelaide father-son prospect, Sam Davidson. Sam Toner has been linked to Collingwood, coming out of the Dandenong Stingrays and played for Narre Warren as well, which I think is the Southeastern Football League in Melbourne. And then lastly, Gabriel Stumpf, which is interesting to see him at 60, despite being the fastest, having the 5th fastest 20-meter sprint at key size 196. So I would love to snag someone like Stumpfy if we can get him that late in the draft. Now, that is a real quick recap and what to expect going into draft night, specifically with night 2. We could, if we see a player further up the draft order that we can afford to swap picks for, we'll do that. We take one or two picks out of the draft. We fill our senior spots. We have 1 more senior spot to fulfill, which we rookie elevate someone, and then to fulfill that final list spot in the rookie category, we could just get someone from the postseason rookie draft, the mid-season draft next year, or the preseason supplementary period. So these are the permutations we must consider. And I just can't see us with what we did with Brisbane. I can't see that as us doing a favor for them, right? We'll know if it's a favor for them if we end up passing on one of our picks, particularly 60 or 66. So that will tell us, all right, we were just doing business for Brisbane, and hopefully they're going to scratch our back later down the track. But if we see us bundling some of our picks earlier in the order to slide up, then it probably all makes sense in the end. Does that make sense? I'm trying my best to explain these ones. These sort of conversations really deserve a bit of a bit of a back and forth between 2 people. I think there needs to be a conversation to really fully grasp how this works, and it's not made up very clear. So I try my best. But if you want to extend the conversation out into the comment section, let me know. And fingers crossed we can snag some nice bolters in the draft on night 2. Go Pies.